A disappearance in Berlin, New Mexico occurred on September 20th, 1988. A year later, two Polaroids of a tied-up woman were discovered in Florida. Are they the same person? On the morning of September 20th, 1988, 19-year-old Tara Calico left home in Valencia County, New Mexico, for a daily bike ride approximately at 9:30 a.m. Her normal route consisted of going along New Mexico State Road 47, and it was the same every day. She had never changed it. Her mother, Patty Doll, knew it well as the pair of them travelled it together often. Lately, Patty had been missing some of the rides, and this was because of an incident in which a car drove aggressively close to her, passing her multiple times on purpose, and this had made her very anxious and therefore less willing to go on her daily bike rides. It was the same route Tara had taken every day for years, and nothing had ever gone wrong. That day, she headed out and joked with her mother that she'd better come looking for her if she wasn't home by noon. Tara had a tennis date with her boyfriend at 12:30 that she was definitely not going to miss, but noon came and went, and she never came home. This case consumed the nation. This disappearance was a true mystery, and for 10 months, Patty Doll and her husband John heard absolutely nothing. On the afternoon she had disappeared, Patty drove down and back the same route Tara had taken, looking for anything that could possibly tell her where her daughter could be. When she couldn't find anything, she contacted the police. A search party was put together, and they couldn't find Tara or her bike, and anyone who was questioned said they didn't witness anything close to an accident or an abduction near the site. A few people then came forward and said that they saw her going along the road, and one or two remembered a light-coloured pickup truck they thought that might have been riding along with the cyclist. Police did find pieces of her Walkman and a cassette tape. Patty would later become convinced that they were broken and dropped deliberately in a way for her daughter to leave a trail. Without any strong evidence of foul play, the police began questioning Tara's home life. They had suspected that she had run away from home, something her parents vehemently denied, describing Tara as a cheerful girl bursting with enthusiasm. Patty and John waited and waited, but no further evidence came to light. She had simply vanished. Then, 9 months after her disappearance, on June 15, 1989, a mysterious Polaroid was discovered in a convenience store parking lot in Port St. Joe, Florida, nearly 1,500 miles from where she had disappeared. The eerie Polaroid showed a teenage girl and a young boy bound and their mouths covered with duct tape. The woman who had found the Polaroid called the police straight away, telling them that a white Toyota van had parked in the spot just before she got there. A mustachioed man in his 30s had been the driver of that van. A roadblock was staged to try and intercept the vehicle, but the attempt to locate either the van or the driver proved unsuccessful. The Polaroid gained national attention when it was presented on America's Most Wanted. Friends who watched the show called Patty, telling her to have a look at the Polaroid. Was that her daughter Tara? When Patty first saw the Polaroid, she wasn't sure, but the more she looked, the surer she became. The girl in the picture had a discoloured streak on her thigh, a scar just like the one Tara had gotten while in a car accident when she was younger. Then there was the dog-eared paperback next to her. V.C. Andrews was one of her favourite authors. Patty was convinced. She looked a little older and without any makeup. Tara was looking at her from that Polaroid. However, the authorities weren't as sure as Patty was. Experts from the Los Alamos National Laboratory doubted it was Tara, and the FBI were unable to offer conclusive evidence as well. Scotland Yard in the UK took a look at the photo and concluded the girl was indeed Tara Calico. The main point they all agreed on was that the photo had been taken recently. The Polaroid could not have been taken later than May of that year because the stock it had been developed on hadn't been available previously. Beyond this, the authorities didn't have anything else to go on. The turning point came when the family of 9-year-old Michael Henley came forward and identified him as the young boy in that Polaroid. Michael had vanished in New Mexico in April 1988 while on a hunting trip with his father. Night was again a waiting game for both families. Sadly, only one family received information. In 1990, Michael Henley's remains were discovered in New Mexico's Zuni Mountains, several miles from the campsite where he had disappeared. He had died of exposure long before the Polaroid had been developed. As for Tara, her case has remained cold. In 2003, the Doyles moved to Florida. It was a move they had wanted to make for years, but they hadn't been able to bring themselves to do it. They always had the hope that their daughter would come home. John Doyle was extremely angry with the sheriff's claims. He said there was no reason for him to publicly announce his suspicions if he couldn't arrest the so-called suspects. In 2008, when Sheriff Ren Rivera of Valencia City, New Mexico, said he knew what happened to Tara and who did it, and this was why John Doyle was extremely angry. Sheriff didn't name any of the suspects, but said that there were two men, two teenagers at the time of the disappearance, but they had followed Tara for a while she was biking, when some kind of accident had occurred. They had been trying to talk to her while grabbing at her. The truck then hit the bike and she was knocked to the ground. In a panic, they disposed of her body, and without the remains, he couldn't make an arrest. Witnesses had come forward telling the sheriff when Tara disappeared about who was in the light-colored pickup truck. The son of an influential local law enforcement officer who was 18 years old was in the passenger seat of that truck. In November 2013, a police report was filed detailing a dying confession of a witness who had identified 3 men, including the officer's son, being involved with Tara's disappearance. The bicycle was apparently thrown in the Belen junkyard and her body was thrown into a pond by the young men. Further reports said that she had been sexually assaulted, stabbed to death, buried and covered with slabs of concrete. In another story, she had been placed in a freezer. Police dug up possible grave sites around Belen and in Valencia County with no result. The son of the officer died at 21 in 1991. The result of a suicide or playing a game of Russian roulette? We don't know. However, his father said he believes the son was murdered. 2 other Polaroids that could have been Tara appeared over the years. One was a blurry photo of a girl's face with tape covering her mouth found near a residential construction site in Montecito, California. Forensic evidence suggested it was taken some time after May of 1989. The second Polaroid was of a woman loosely bound with her eyes covered, sitting next to a man on an Amtrak train, dated roughly to February 1990. No charges were ever brought for either Polaroid. Patty found the Montecito Polaroid was very compelling and had believed it was Tara, but she didn't believe the girl on the train was Tara. She had been missing for more than 3 decades. Her disappearance remains one of the most haunting cold cases. What do you think happened? Let me know down in the comments below and make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you for the next case.